you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpru.com.
Good evening. Welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier. And once again, thanks for joining us this evening as we talk about my favorite topic, small business. As you may know, each week we have tremendous guests who bring a lot of knowledge and experience on valuable areas that entrepreneurs and business owners need to know about so that they can grow and be more successful. This evening, you've probably heard, I always say that your most important job in business is marketing and sales. So, definitely we try and cover those topics as much as possible because, you can never learn too much in those areas, and especially as important as it is for the success of your business. So tonight we're going to focus more on developing your sales skills. And we have a great guest, Connie Whitman, and she's going to talk about overcoming objections. And that's a very important part of the sales process and something that you can prepare to do that will significantly increase the level of success you have in being able to close deals and grow your business. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Connie on. Hey, good evening, Connie. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation, and hopefully we help some people make more money.
Great. No, definitely. That's what it's all about. So, definitely we've had a chance to chat. You're doing some pretty cool stuff. You've helped a lot of business owners be more successful at what they're doing. So now, you're in the sales space. How did you get there? So can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Not everybody starts out where they end up. I know I haven't, and you probably haven't either. So it would be great to, learn a little bit about kind of where you started, how you got to where you are, and sort of some things that you learned along the way.
Yeah, it is fascinating, right, Andrew, that time keeps marching on and our roles keep reiterating, changing, getting better, hopefully that we grow and we get better at what we do. But my story is actually kind of funny. Graduated college, was going for my MBA in the evening, and I worked for a credit company, and I was responsible for the leases. Now, you have to remember, this was in the 80s. No one knew what leasing a car was because everybody bought, right? There was a retail deal. Now everybody leases. But anyway, back then there was tremendous benefit for business owners. They can write the entire car payment off if they had done a lease. So I kept getting these deals in on the retail side, and I would just pick up the phone and call the dealers, the men at the dealership, because it was all men back then. Again, this is the 80s. And I remember saying, your business owner could benefit. And I told them why they should do the lease. I taught them how to do the calculation. I told them how to call the business owner, give them the benefits for that, et cetera, et cetera. So we did that for several months, and a sales position came up within the organization. So all these guys are calling me, Con, you're going to apply for the sales position. My response, Andrew, I swear to God, I go, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about sales. Like, what drugs are you people on? They were like, What do you think you've been doing? You've been helping us make so much more money. The business owner was thrilled. They were referring other businesses to the dealerships, right? These guys were making bank because I taught them how to navigate this leasing thing. And the dealership itself was winning, financially. I didn't know I was doing sales. So here's my take on sales. And then through my 40-year career and 21 years in business, I've just perfected how I talk about it. But here's the reality. The way I was 40 years ago teaching, to me, that's sales. If you're not teaching the benefit, it's always got to be the benefit from the client's perspective, right? What is the benefit to them? You're doing it wrong. So I've just perfected my process over 40 years. But that was my first experience with sales. I had no idea I was selling.
Great. Definitely. So sales doesn't have to be something scary. A lot of people make more of it than it really has to be.
Agree.
And, but what I find, even though sales and marketing is your most important job as a business owner,
Yes,
so many business owners have had no training or experience.
Yeah.
So they're out there winging it.
Yeah.
And they're betting their livelihood on being able to sell and market, even though they never learned how to do it right. And, I think that's one of the biggest challenges I've run out into, and one of the key things that I try to educate people on.
Yes.
So, I try to start with, sales 101. So what would you say, to someone who's, new business owner, they were good at baking pies, they never sold anything before, but they opened their business and now they need to sell pies. What would you kind of give them an introduction or sales 101?
So here's really, and I wish I had done this, 20 years ago when I started my business. So Andrew, being coached as a business owner, it wasn't a thing. So you have blind spots, but you don't even know what they are. And you don't even know how to address them until something went wrong, and then you'd figure it out. So I think that we're living in a really exciting time to be a business owner, because we have experts around the globe that now we have access to via, Zoom, like we're doing right now. So I think the first thing is, don't think you know everything, because you don't. And I think business owners, especially, I believe in the people that are in my orbit, we're humble, right? We're trying to serve whatever, but making pies or whatever it is, right? We're trying to serve. So we're coming from this very humble place, but we have blind spots. And I think sometimes we feel as business owners, oh, I should know it all. I should be able to figure this out. And here in 20 years, the amount of money and time that I have spent doing it wrong because I didn't reach out and say, hey, I need help. So I think now, if as a new business owner, it's a very exciting time, because there's information everywhere. There wasn't when I started. So that's the first thing. Hire a coach, ask questions. The other thing I would do as a new business owner, find someone like an Andrew, like myself, and pick our brain, try to get into our orbit, follow us on LinkedIn, posts that are happening, because we're vetted. We're I don't want to use the word old. We're seasoned. I'm seasoned, Andrew. I'm hot and spicy, right? I'm seasoned. I've been doing this 40 years. You've been doing this a long time. So find people that you trust, that you kind of like them, you like their vibe, you like their message, and really follow them. And then I would engage on LinkedIn or wherever they are and ask questions. Because here's the other thing I've learned as a business owner. Someone reaches out and says, hey, Con, I have a question. Can you help me out? Absolutely. Because I know what it was like starting out and needing help. And those resources weren't as available. So I am all about paying it forward. So ask for help. You can't do it alone. You shouldn't be doing it alone. And you have way too many blind spots. Don't make mistakes that other people have made and have solutions to. Fast track everything you do.
Okay, excellent. So 40 years of experience, you've learned a lot. And so definitely take what she says, with an understanding that, she's one of the best. So, I love what you said, sort of being teachable, humble, get a coach. I do a lot of coaching, and, Sometimes that can be a little tough, but
Love is a good thing.
right. But one of the things is, I'll have people try to sell me their product or service. Like, I'm the customer, sell it to me, and I'll be a tough customer. But that's how you learn. And practice, like speaking and anything else, is key. We're going to talk about overcoming objections today.
Yes.
Which is a very important part of it. We'll talk about more than just that, because there's some things that, it's good to know beyond that and to better understand what that is. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. As you may know, we do this through the Small Business Pro University. And one of the things that we also do is we do a small business power breakfast and conference, which is a really great event we do a few times a year.
Cool.
And this is our 10th anniversary. So we've had great results over 10 years. We've had over 1,500 attendees. We've helped people get millions in financing and also millions in growing their business. So, it's going to be next Thursday, Friday. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, it'll be in Newark. And I'll put a link in the chat. But in case you're not sure what the Power Breakfast is, here's a quick 1-minute video about it. And then we'll come back and talk with Connie more about sales strategies. If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences. My name is Andrew Frazier. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Frazier, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
Okay, welcome back to Leadership Live. I'm here with Connie, and we're talking small business. So, we're going to talk about objections, but maybe before that, if you could talk a little bit about the sales process so people can understand where overcoming objections fits into the process, that would be outstanding.
Yeah, it's a good perspective. And I just want to comment that Power Breakfast that you just shared, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Business owners need to be part of those events. They have to go in like a sponge and just learn, because you'll be surprised at the number of things that you didn't realize. So wonderful opportunity. And again, just a great platform. Newark, I grew up in Newark, by the way. So yeah, my old stomping ground there. My old stomping ground. So let me tell you first, my 7-step process, and I published a book during COVID, and it outlines the 7 steps. And here's the important piece of the puzzle. It's called ESP. I did that specifically because ESP, we do need an element of ESP with our clients. There's a whole bunch of tools that I share in the book as well. But the 7 steps, it's ESP, easy sales process, 7 steps to your sales success. And it was funny when I started my business 20 years ago, right? You go out and say, oh, I'm really good at teaching people how to sell, right? That's what my job was within a company. I educated people. I was a financial advisor, and I educated people to give me referrals. So I'm good at that, right? I could do this for a living. And I went out on my own, and I remember sitting down and thinking, well, how am I going to teach them? What am I going to create? It was like on the fly, and as a corporate executive, whatever was needed, I created. So I really sat down and I reflected on, why have I been successful in sales at the time for 20 years? what did I do that I can teach and then rinse and repeat? So it's a tangible tool that people can bite into and understand. And I sat down and I had a 7-step process. I never realized it because I had just built it over the 20 years, Andrew, but there was a 7-step process. So I'll go through that quickly. And anybody has questions, they certainly can email me. The first step is preparation. I'm going to share why this is important when I get to the objections piece, and then we can dive in why people have so many objections and how we can combat them as the second piece of this conversation. So the 7 steps, number 1 is being prepared. You got to show up. You got to show up prepared. Spend the time. Don't wing it. Every time you wing it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're losing a sale or you're leaving money on a table. So you have to be super prepared. I know that sounds obvious. Most people do not show up prepared. Second thing is building rapport. You have 30 seconds to connect with that person. And when I talk about objections, I always share that there's 2 conversations going on at all times with our clients. There's a conscious conversation. Think of an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is that 10%. That's very conscious. What I'm doing now, I'm speaking English, right? I'm very animated. I'm looking in the camera. I'm bringing energy to the table. It's all very conscious and deliberate. Well, 90% of our communication with humans, not just in business, with humans in general, is subconscious. So if we don't get control of that subconscious piece of how we communicate and how the other person's communicating, you're losing sales, you're leaving money on the table, and you're just missing tremendous opportunity. So in step number 2, building that rapport, that's where we get to dig in that 90%, that's subconscious. And we're going to share a tool at the end, Andrew, right? I have a free communication style assessment for everyone. The key here is it tells you how you get a report, you take an assessment, you get a report, and it tells you how people perceive you when you communicate. That's your natural communication superpower. Lean into that. Here's the flip side. You get a secondary report, which is your lowest style. So that's the styles or the people that you speak with that just don't communicate like you. So it almost becomes an awkward conversation at time, or you feel like, I'm not really sure which direction to come from. Understanding that blind spot. Again, we talked about blind spots before. Really important for you to say, hey, I need help with this. So it's a way for you to identify something that you don't naturally have. You're not wired that way. The last thing I want to say about this is there's 5 different styles. So that means 20% of the time, 2 out of 10 people we speak with, just like us, easy peasy, great conversation. We don't have to think about it. We're just present and in the moment. 8 out of 10 or 80% of the people, Andrew, do not communicate like us. And that's where we can really mess up and kind of miss the boat. So step number 2 is building that rapport using this tool. It could be any tool. There's many tools out there, but I have a free resource for you for that. Third step is your open-ended questions. They should be prepared. Notice how I keep going back to prepare to build rapport. They're all of my steps are connected, but they build on each other. So if you're not good at presenting, it's probably because you're not asking good questions. For me, there's always a correlation. I could tell you exactly where you really need to work, and it's probably not on the presentation because you know your presentation. So questions, you should have about 8 to 10 prepared question that you use over and over and over again, and they work and they get the big bulk of the questions that you need answered from the clients. Rinse and repeat. So create those 8 to 10 questions. Step 4, and 3 and 4 are married, Andrew. So step 4 is listening. Humans, we're really not good at listening. We have a 6-second attention span, and we take turns talking at each other, not with each other. So use those 6 seconds really wisely, right? So how do we do that? There was many years ago when I first was in sales, really sales, where I knew I was in sales, I had a sales job. The regional said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And in 40 years, I'm going to tell you there's a flaw in that statistic of 50-50. We should be listening 70% of the time. The client or prospect should be speaking 70%. So ask questions, be present, go into listening mode. How do you know if you're not listening? You hear your voice a lot. So when you hear your voice a lot, stop, ask another question. That will re-engage the client or prospect and get them talking again. So that's step 4 is the listening. They go together, question and listening. Step 5, is where you present your idea. Now, here's the thing for me. Every time I'm in front of a client or prospect, I had a call today, as a matter of fact. She was like, yeah, I want to hire you. And I said, okay, we need to talk about that, because I customize every option I give my client. You may need me for 1 month. I don't know your skill level yet. We have to have a conversation. You might need my 9-week program. You might just need to buy my book. Until I talk to you, I don't know what you need. So by doing those first 4 steps really, 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 really well, when you get here, it is crystal clear as to how you could potentially help that client. And then step 5 is you present your idea. And it should be, and I tease when I train, Andrew, I say, if you've done a really good job, 1 through 4, the light beam comes from the heavens and it shines down on your conversation and says, ta-da, like this is what that person needs. It becomes super obvious after you present your idea. That's where you ask for the business. That's step 6. Now, I want to just share, and this will be the lead in to the objections. I know we're going to have another commercial break in a minute. 3 things should happen when you ask for the business in step 6. 1, like my client today, can we do it now? Like they're ready. They needed you yesterday, and they know that you're ready to rock and roll. Your recommendation is spot on. Second thing happens is they do need you, but they're not ready for you. So I will say something like, Andrew, you're not ready for me yet. You're still working on your website. You're getting your podcast launched. You're doing this, this, and this. You cannot put the effort you need to into the sales piece. Is it important? Sure. Are you ready to do it now? No, you're not. Let's stay in touch. I send articles. I give them homework assignments and things to do. We stay in touch. And then a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever it is, we do the business. So 1, let's do it now. 2, you're not ready for me. And the third one is, I'm not the right vendor. I'm not the right person. You need to meet my friend, Andrew. You really have a financing problem, or you have a CFO problem, or you have a COO problem. I would hand off to somebody in my network. Notice I didn't use the word objection. If you get really good at steps 1 through 5, you will never have another objection again. And then the last step, step 7, is follow-up. And most people fail at this. 2% of salespeople and business owners that are successful, they follow up past the 15th touch. Nobody panic. The 15 touches does not have to be you on the phone or you on a Zoom call. It could be a post that you did in LinkedIn. It could be a show you were on and you share the video. It could be an email campaign that you're sending out, or a giveaway, or a summit that you're part of. So those 15 touches is where you build that know, like, trust factor. And it takes at least 15 touches for them to kind of know who you are and what your vibe is. That's my 7 steps.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you got the 7-step plan. So that's easier than the 12-step plan.
For sure.
For sure. So, you've got some great stuff in there. And, but I want to just go over a couple things.
Sure.
Because the first step is prepare. And everybody's like, okay, prepare. But not everybody understands what it means to prepare. Just like when I talk to people about you should be marketing a couple hours every day. They're like, well, I only know a couple of marketing things. How do I spend a couple hours every day? So what does it mean to prepare, and what types of things should you prepare?
So one of them I already gave you, right? Those questions. I have an agenda on my computer. Every time I have a meeting, especially with my corporate clients, I print it out, especially if it's a live meeting, or I send it to them in advance, just so they know where I'm taking them as well. So it builds that rapport. I'm showing up. Oh, she's organized. She already sent that to us. Oh, these are good topics that we're going to cover. So that's how you be prepared, and you start to build that rapport and that know, like, trust factor, right? So that's one way to be prepared. Another one is your time management skills. This all goes under, for me, preparation is self-management. You have to be able to do what you need to do when you need to do it, right? So time management, you can't be late. You can't be a minute late for a meeting. You want to be early and let the person know, hey, I'm on, no pressure, jump on when you can. So it shows that you're mindful of their time and that you're coming in prepared and organized. The other thing is, please do not jump around when you ask your questions. So those 8 questions I have, they are in a logical order. Doesn't mean the client is going to answer in that same logical order. they might answer a question at number 5, and I'm taking notes while they're filling in, but I keep going back to fill in all of the gaps under those 8 questions. So make sure that you have an agenda or something and it's organized so that the flow of the conversation makes sense for the client. That's another organizational skill. If you are live in a meeting with a client or a prospect, please show up professionally dressed. Obviously Zoom too. You could have boxer shorts on, guys, and ladies, you can have capris on or flip-flops, whatever, but make sure you're dressed professionally where they can see. But if you show up live, ladies, your purses, your pocketbooks should be clean and organized. Stuff should not be throwing out of it. Same thing, guys. If you have a briefcase, make sure it's organized. When you set yourself up, don't have papers scattered everywhere. Have your planner, have your outline. Everything is in a place. Be a little OCD with this because it shows that you are mindful of their time and you're showing up on your game, ready to hit the road, running. Did I answer your question, Andrew?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Those are some things that you should be thinking about when you're preparing. I think that, like you said, the goal is to get people to know, like, and trust you. So the more professional you can come across, the better. Absolutely. And you can already start that process before you even meet with them.
That's exactly right.
Which is great. One of the things, but also I wanted to tell people, because people are always nervous or feel like they're doing a bad job. You are where you are, and the goal is to go from where you are forward. We've been around a long time, as evidenced.
Right here.
So, you may not be where we are now, but, it's good that you're here because, hopefully you can get there faster than we did.
That's exactly right.
And there's a lot of technology nowadays that's amazing.
Yes.
Through the pandemic, I've really revamped how I'm doing everything and taking advantage of a lot of technology. And, one thing that, even before I meet with people, I meet with a lot of people, is my scheduling. You scheduled with me, and it was easy. It was branded. It did what you wanted.
Yeah.
That could be the first touch and experience someone has with you. Usually when I'm giving a coaching client, I email them, say, hey, I look forward to meeting you. Please schedule using the link below. And nice and smooth, they get a follow-up. So, those are some things you can do to prepare. One thing I do to prepare is I usually look people up on LinkedIn. And maybe even invite them to connect and say in the thing, I look forward to meeting with you.
That's right.
That's another positive touch. It allows them to see who you are. Now, you got to have a good profile. So, definitely, you should be, as a business owner, there's no real good excuse for not having a good profile and not being on there. So that goes without saying. And you continually evolve it. But you can go on LinkedIn. There's a amazing tool on LinkedIn. Plug in on, I think it's called Crystal. You familiar with that?
I love it.
About that. So talk a little bit about what that is and how it works.
Crystal is so cool. My communication style assessment, and I do this with my clients. We use Crystal and we say, all right, what is that showing you, right, on Crystal? It's I hate to use the word profiling just because it's so derogatory now in society, but it's really the almost an avatar of who the client is. Are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? That kind of thing. And then we say, okay, what kind of CSA style are they? Your CSA style before you get in that meeting. How are you going to show up? How are you going to do the intro? What's that first 30 seconds going to sound like and feel like for them, right? So that Crystal is, again, all of these amazing tech tools we didn't have. Like, it's such an exciting time to be in business. I want to comment on one other thing. You said LinkedIn, connect with them, all of that. Also, you should review their website. Get a newsletter, get on their newsletter. If they have a free downloadable, take it, do it. All of those things gives you such good insight into who that client is. And again, you just show up saying, oh, I took your assessment, or I downloaded your checklist. Oh my God, I didn't know 3 of them. So now they're thinking, oh, wow, this person really cares about this meeting and me. So that was the other thing. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, do you notice how Andrew said, Con, I have a couple of questions. That's the active listening. He could not have prepared this in advance with me. We didn't know where the conversation was going to go. This is an organic conversation like you have with your clients. That was active listening. I just wanted to point that out from a skill set.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, no, definitely. And all those things are great. Communication is key, but if you're prepared, that's half the battle.
Absolutely.
And
Hi, Crystal. It's cool.
Yeah. And like you said, doing the step before well makes the next step so much easier.
Yep.
Now that you're prepared, it's easy to build rapport. Oh, you're from Newark. I'm from Newark. You went to Rutgers. My brother went to Rutgers.
That's right.
You studied engineering. I studied engineering. By finding commonalities.
That's right.
I noticed you got this award, which is amazing. Very impressive. All those things. So preparing is key. Definitely that's an important piece. So, rapport, we talked about that, open-ended questions, presenting your idea, asking for business. You talked about follow-up, and, you're correct. If the people who you could tell are going to be successful are the people who follow up. So many people don't follow up and miss business opportunities.
Yes.
If you can do anything better, that's a valuable thing. So no, these are great steps. We're going to come back. Oh, good.
I was just going to say real quick to finish up the follow-up too. Don't make it complicated. Initially, just start with a spreadsheet so that you know who you're going to follow up when, and have notes for yourself. Maybe have their picture if you can upload it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then use your, I use Google Calendar. But if you have Outlook, whatever it is, make sure that your follow-up is scheduled so you don't have to think about it. You hang up, you finish the meeting, I'm going to follow up in 2 weeks, or I think I should follow up in 2 weeks. Make a note in your spreadsheet, go to Outlook, put it in. You don't have to think about it again. The day before comes, start to prep. What did you want to talk to me about again 2 weeks from now? So again, that's where the prep starts coming in again, right? It's this constant evolution with people. So I just wanted to comment on that. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. No, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, so definitely, those are key things. We're going to talk a little bit more, I guess, about really getting towards objections. And that's really when you get to step 6, pretty much, right?
Step 6. Yeah. Believe it or not. Yes.
However, I think that you should be trying to do that through all the other steps. And we'll talk more about that.
That's right.
But we're going to take a break real quick. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Power Breakfast because coming up, and it's going to be great. So hopefully you can join us, either in person, or we're also going to do some of the sessions via live stream. So what can you expect? First, I'm going to be talking about how to run your business by the numbers for maximum profit. So the event is really all about how to maximize your business. Next Friday, the 29th, full day, and next Thursday evening, there's a networking event. So I'll be the keynote speaker for breakfast, and the keynote for lunch is Jimmy Newsom. He was the guest a couple of weeks ago. He was really amazing. He's actually a regular guest, comes back on a quarterly basis, and really doing great things with digital marketing. And he's going to talk about how to leverage your data for maximum impact. Very valuable information. So definitely, if you can check it out, I invite you to. So So definitely looking forward to that. I've got the link in the chat, and hopefully we'll see you there. All right. Let's get back to Connie. Hey, Connie, welcome back.
Thank you. Kashif had a question. I think his internet glitched out on him. I was looking at the comments. Do you need, Kashif, do you need me to go through the 7 steps? I could do it fairly quickly. If you got them.
Why don't you do it for everybody?
Okay. So 7 steps. Step number 1, prepared. Step number 2, build rapport. Step number 3, have really good open-ended questions. Step number 4, step 3 and 4 are tethered and marry. Step 4 is listening. Active listening is where you ask those follow-up questions based on your listening. 70% of the time you should be listening, 30% talking. Step 5, this is where you present your idea. The light from heaven's coming down saying ta-da, right? Step number 6, ask for the business. 3 things should happen. Customers eager to get started immediately. You say to them, you're not ready for me. Or the third one is, I'm not the right person. You need to meet my colleague, Andrew. And then step number 7 is follow up. And that was where I gave the idea for the spreadsheet and using Outlook. And I know, Bashif, I think you liked the idea of the picture in your spreadsheet. If you could do that, then you know who the person is. They were the 7. I hope that helps.
Excellent. So, and definitely we appreciate everybody's comments. That makes it even better. Comments and questions. A couple other comments. Definitely about the picture is key. And especially your picture on LinkedIn. It needs to be a picture where people can see you and be able to recognize you if they saw you live. So
yes.
Can
I comment on that too, Andrew?
Sure.
I was recently on a speaking summit, and there was, I don't know, maybe 40 other speakers. It was quite robust. And the woman got on with me, and I had never met her. She was kind of doing the setup. And she said, "Oh, it's you." And I'm thinking, it's my scheduled time. She goes, "No, it's you." I said, "I don't know what you're saying. It's lovely to meet you." Like, I didn't know where she was going. She said, "You look exactly like your picture." And I said, "Well, yeah, we should have our pictures redone every couple of years, especially as we're aging, because you show up and they go, 'Who are you?'" You don't want that. So make sure you have an updated professional picture. Yeah, that was a very cute experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. Same here. I run into people all the time. Like, oh, I talk to you like they know you, but they've seen you on LinkedIn. They've seen, that stuff works. And, especially in the digital environment, you just never know. So you want to be looking good. And, as a small business owner, you're your brand.
Absolutely.
So people need to know you. So, there's no, I don't want people to see who I am, or I don't think I look good. You're who you are. Just, and you're only hurting yourself.
But one last thing, when you're on Zoom meetings, because we're doing a lot of networking on Zoom, things are opening, but we're still pretty heavy on Zoom. And this is really important. That subconscious, that 90% is an energetic exchange. Make sure you have your camera on, really be present. Don't be checking your phone, really be present. And I'm going to tell you the number of times that I'm in networking, because I network all the time on Zoom, inevitably 5 people each time will reach out to me. "Oh my God, it was like I felt like I needed to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so happy to hear that," because I'm providing energy, even though you're sitting quietly in the networking, like your power breakfast you were talking about, you have the speaker. Just show up, share your energy, be positive, be present. You have to be visible. Do not keep your camera off. Nobody's going to want to do business with you. It's that no like trust factor. You're hiding. Why are you hiding? So really show up for yourself during networking on Zoom.
Definitely. And you got to be memorable. And it's way harder to be memorable as just a voice than as a voice and an image.
Absolutely.
So even at a minimum, have a picture on your Zoom. So a picture of you on your Zoom.
Exactly.
If it's a bad hair day or whatever, at least they could kind of picture who's talking to them.
Exactly. You're so funny.
So definitely that stuff is key. So now one thing that we've both done that's was a huge learning process for me, and I'm sure it was for you, is we've written books.
Yeah.
And writing a book is harder than you would think it is. And to write a book, you have to to write a good book, anybody, you have to really understand what you're talking about, because you sort of have to do many of these steps in order to do it, but you do it without any feedback from the person. So, you got to prepare, you got to build rapport with someone, and you're not even talking to them. You've got to, I think they say, you can learn something, and, that's one level, but then when you do it, that takes it to another level. But then teaching something takes it to a third level of knowledge. And then because you got to be prepared for any questions.
That's right.
But writing a book, you actually have to answer the questions without even getting them. And I think that has something similar to overcoming objections and what we're talking about today. So before we talk about overcoming objections, can you talk a little bit about what are objections and why, where do they come from?
Yeah. And everybody, listen, we all have objections. And here's why. I want you to think about, I'm sure everyone that's here and that will watch this recording later on, you've seen the movies, Wolf of Wall Street, Glenn Ross is an older one, always be closing. The newest one was Madoff with Robert De Niro, right? Madoff with people's money. These were not salespeople, yet they are professed to be, they were good salespeople. No, they were good con artists. There's a big difference between a con artist and a salesperson or a business owner trying to sell something that's going to serve and help people, right? So they were con artists. They literally rip people off. So first of all, you have to change your mindset. You are not the Madoffs. You are not those icky, sleazy, manipulative salespeople. So that's the first thing where buyer's resistance comes from. The other thing is we've all been, I say, duped or ripped off. And when you think about your business and delivering your information, you have to be good at a couple of things. First one is the marketing. That opens the door. That gets people following you. Second thing is you have to be good at the sales conversation. That's the communication piece. And then the third one is you have to deliver. And what happens is the people that don't deliver, that's where we get ripped off. We think we're buying one thing, and then when we get to the deliverables, that's not what they're delivering. So whenever we get into a conversation, somebody even selling to us, we have these 5 objections that we've built up, 5 walls, if you will, because we've all been duped, ripped off, we bought something and it's not what I thought it was going to be. So you have it, your clients have it, everybody comes to the table. Here's the thing that I'm going to keep going back to, that 90% subconscious conversation. That is where most of the communication's happening. And that's where the magic is either going to happen or not happen. So when you can break down those 5 layers of buyer's resistance that every human on the planet has, you are what you get in front of what I call, or who I call, the objectionless buyer. They are there. They don't have objections. They want to buy from you. That's why they scheduled a meeting with you. How you do to break down those 5 layers and those 7 steps will help you, that I went through before. That will help you break down those 5 layers of buyer's resistance. But you want to get to the objectionless buyer. So did I answer your question, Andrew, with that?
Yeah, I think definitely, you're going to have objections. There's different types of objections. But once you've overcome all the objections, generally, there's no reason why the sale won't go forward. Or at least, people buy when they need stuff.
Correct.
So it may not go forward immediately, but you're on track to be who they choose
That's right.
when the time comes, if you do good follow-up.
That's
So
right.
that's your top of mind when this opportunity comes. So, definitely, working on, overcoming them and thinking about what the objections will be before they even happen.
That's right.
And
You should be breaking down. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Andrew, but that was just so brilliant what you just said. Think about it and answer them before you get to presenting, because when you get there, you're shooting yourself in the foot when you allow objections to happen. So that's why if you get really good at those first 5 steps in my process, your objections are going to go way down, because you're answering the objections by being prepared, showing up, right? Building that rapport so that they're hearing clearly they're perceiving your message properly. Your questions, you're getting the right information. All of these are critical to break down those layers of buyer's resistance. So you're exactly right with what you just said. I did not mean to interrupt you. It was just very profound.
no, excellent. But yeah, no, that's key. And, one of the strategies for being able to do that better and better is debriefing your meetings, figuring out, well, what was the objection at this meeting? So then your next meeting, you could already resolve that before you get to the ask.
That's right.
And as you refine, you get better and better at it. But definitely. So, this is great stuff. Connie's sharing her 40 years of expertise in sales. And, this is very valuable stuff. We're going to take one more break. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the Power Breakfast just because it's coming up. But we got some great things happening. So, definitely, hopefully you can join us either live or virtually. I've got the question. I'm going to put it about how to access it virtual live stream. And actually, you can do that through my YouTube channel. So you may want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll put it in the link, and then you'll know about all the different live streams we do. But definitely those will be put up there for next week as well. So great. But a little bit more about the breakfast. We've got 2 panels, expert panels. We've got one in the morning on maximum value, maximizing the value of your business. It's important because many people don't think about it until they're ready to sell or ready to get out. But many times when that comes, their business is way less valuable than it could or should be. And then we also have a panel on enhancing your message for maximum revenue. Like Connie said, communications is key, and what you communicate and how you communicate is important. So we're going to have an expert panel on that as well, because we'll be focused on maximizing your business. So hopefully you can join us. It's definitely going to be exciting, and for the first time, we're actually doing a networking event the night before. So if you like to network and connect with people, this will be a great prep for the conference, as well as great way to meet people and do some business. So that's really sort of what's going on next week with the Power Breakfast. So hopefully that will work. So you talked a little bit about snake oil salesmen and scammers, and that's not who you want to be. But when we talked about objections and overcoming them, what is a common objection that what are some common objections that you should think about overcoming on any type of sales call?
Yeah. So the one I think is I don't have the time, I don't have the money. They're probably the 2 biggest that I think most of my clients hear anyway. And I have to give you an example. One of my clients, we were on a coaching call, And as soon as we hung up, she had a meeting with a client and she said, yeah, they don't have the money. And, I don't know if I'm attracting the wrong people. And, and I said, well, tell me what's going on. So she said, yeah, my coaching is $1,500 a month. And she said she can't afford it. And she has all these things going on. And the woman was in overwhelm. So I said, okay, breathe for a minute. Do me a favor. You have the meeting right after this. Can you go in? And I want you to hear this clearly, everybody. Don't ever discount your prices. Okay. If your prices are fairly marked, then don't go in with a discount. But what I said to her is, for that $1,500 a month, she gets you 3 times, whatever, in that month, 3 1-hour meetings. What if you said, hey, listen, let's keep moving the needle forward. Let's do $500 and you only get me once. I said, is that a good boundary for you if you lower that to the 500 and then change what you're offering? Remember, you have to customize for your client. And my client said, oh, I don't know. I said, well, you're meeting with her next. Why don't you ask? So she texted me immediately after. Oh my God, she went for it. And the woman loved that she came back with a secondary plan so that they could start to work together. And I think now the woman is up to $2,000 a month, a higher program than she would have bought. So this is what we do. We take the objection, I don't have the money. And we go, okay, so throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right, well, until the next time, see ya. Then we don't follow up. So we don't get that new opportunity down the road, or you didn't customize the offer for the client where they are right here, right now, knowing they need it. They couldn't afford the $1,500, but they could afford the $500. So a lot of times we leave money on the table because we walk away too soon, or because we didn't customize a solution. So when people say they don't have the money, they'll find the money if they really need this. So it could go back to what you said before. They buy when they're ready. So if they're really, really not ready, you should know that. You shouldn't ask for the business. And I say things like, listen, you're not ready for me yet. I hear everything you just said. You have money going out left and right. You're not ready for me. Why don't we stay in touch? Reconvene in 3 months. I think by then you'll be ready for me. And they're like, oh, that would be so great. But now I've ingratiated myself. I'm going to be top of mind. I'm going to be in touch with them because follow-up is important. You eliminate that objection without even getting it because you know what's coming. They're in overwhelm. If you listen to what they've said, they don't have the time, they don't have the money. Why would you ask for the business? So that's the kind of strategies that you should be thinking about. The other thing I wanted to comment, Andrew, that you said before was very profound. See my active listening skill at work here, kids, right? You said, make sure, what did you say that was so profound? Now I lost it. See, I'm my 60 years of living. I'm losing my mind.
So try to answer the questions before they ask them.
That was it. So, and you also said debrief with yourself. This is another big one for me. After every meeting, and I still do this, it's a very good habit to get into. After I train, after I have a meeting, after I have a client call, prospect call, doesn't matter. I take 5 minutes and I self-reflect and I am brutally honest with myself. How did that go? If it went well, why? What can I duplicate from that meeting or that sales call or that training or whatever it is that I'm offering? How can I duplicate that because it was a home run? Flip side, if I was off my game, why? Was I not prepared? Were my questions off? Was my energy off? Were they not the right client for me? You have to pause, slow down to speed up. You have to pause and self-reflect and take the ownership for self and say, my energy wasn't there today. Wow, I got lost in my questions. I don't know what happened. That's okay. Don't do it again, right? So use that as a learning opportunity, not to beat yourself up. Do it with kindness and love, but learn from it when things don't go well. Learn from it when things go really well. That was another very important thing that you said, Andrew. I just wanted to kind of hit home for people.
Okay, great. No, thanks. I appreciate it. And
you're very smart.
Well, I've learned many things, some the easy way, some the hard way. But one of the things that I talk to people about and is important to keep in mind is you're not your target market. So just because you like something or something works for you doesn't mean it's the right thing for who you're talking to. So one of the key things, when you're overcoming objections is the first one is, why should I buy from you? So you should be answered that shouldn't be a question when you get to the end. So definitely, keep that in mind. And, it's good to have real world responses. So I always ask people to talk to your customers and ask them why they buy from you, because you may get some interesting answers. They might say,
Yes.
you remind me of my uncle, or, you seem trustworthy, or whatever. And usually it's not because you have the best product or services, or maybe it could be, but it goes a long way to really get a feel for who's most likely to buy from you and why.
And don't be afraid. If someone says no to you, what have you got to lose? I have many times through my career say, listen, can I just ask you a quick question? I'm just curious. It's cool that you're not hiring me. Can I ask why? And sometimes they give me something very tangible. And I think you're right. I'm not the right person, or I am not the right vendor for you because of something that didn't come out during the interview process or the conversation. So ask, because it will give you insight. Or they might say, you were a little disorganized for me. They'll do it very politely, I've always found, but they will give you real insight. Then you have to honor it. Take it. Don't beat yourself up. Beating self up is not the answer. Reflecting, digesting it, and then how can I make it better? Find the solution in whatever that disconnect was. But ask people for that feedback. And I agree. Ask people why they hired you. The things you'll hear, you're like, really? Cool.
Yeah, it might deflate your ego. It's like, I didn't know anybody else who could do it.
Yeah.
Or
So funny.
But those are important things. But it's about the journey. You're going to learn and continue to learn as a business owner. You got to evolve and continue to learn, so that you can progress. So one thing I ask each of the guests is to, we cover like a million things, so not everybody can remember everything, but what I like to leave people with is really 3 things that they should take away from this and actually can start using tomorrow or even tonight if they're industrious. So take a second to think about that. And I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to share a little bit about the Small Business Pro University, which is sort of who the organization that we do this and other activities through. So that'll just take 1 minute. We'll be back with Connie, and we'll talk about 3 key things that you should take away from what we're doing now. Excellent. Okay. Do you own your business, or does it own you? Is your business growing, and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello. My name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program, or just simply choose the courses that you need at www.sbprou.com. We will empower you to thrive and not just survive, and make more money in any business environment. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. I'm hanging out here with Connie Whitman, and we've been talking about some great things, very valuable experience and key things for your success as a business owner. So even if you just implement one of those things, that can significantly help your revenue growth. But as much as you can take away, encourage you to do that. Connie's going to share the most important 3 things that you should take away from what we did today. And then we're going to get ready to close out. So, Connie?
So the three, I think that I would really implement immediately. Number one is the preparing. There's one of my favorite quotes from when I was a financial advisor 100 years ago. And I would tell my clients, people don't fail to plan. People don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. And that's what happens in business. We're running all the time that we forget to breathe and get ready before our next meeting. So I know people don't even put buffers in their calendar. Here's another tip, right? After a meeting, put a 15-minute buffer. Go to the ladies' room, men's room, right? Get a bio break, get some water, and then who's your next person? Get set up, get ready for them. So when you get on, you know who they are and you have all that background information. Take the time, it's worth it. The other one is the rapport building. You really do have less than 30 seconds to start to build that know, like, trust factor. Remember, 90% of our conversation is energetic, it's subconscious. So people are feeling you right out of the gate. Make sure that part of that preparation too is showing up. You're in a good mood. You're hydrated. Your energy is up. All of those things that you're bringing to the table. And then the third one, you got to follow up. My follow up I call CPR, because we got to keep the client alive, right? The prospect alive with CPR. It's consistent, persistent, and the big word for me is respectful follow-up. So make sure you do a spreadsheet or something, use your calendar, keep it simple, but you got to do the follow-up. And that just keeps you top of mind. It keeps you in the loop, and it starts to reduce objections because you don't feel so compelled. I got to make the sale now. You can make the sale in 2 weeks from now. If that person just isn't ready right now, that will reduce the objections as well. So they'd be my three.
Excellent. So prepare, building rapport, and I know the last one, but you could say it again.
Follow up. CPR follow up, baby. It's CPR follow up.
So okay, so excellent. So no, this has been great, Connie.
Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Truly my pleasure.
To share some of your expertise. And you've got Connie's LinkedIn. I'm sure she would appreciate you connecting with her. You've got the link to her communications assessment. That's a great way to learn some new things that could be helpful for you. And I appreciate having you here.
Thank you so much.
So hang out for a few minutes as we close out, and definitely appreciate everybody tuning in once again for Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business. Thanks for all your comments and questions, and look forward to catching you next week. So at the end of the day, the more you know, the faster your business will grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.